Hi, and welcome to Random Rogers Big Picture for the week of December, 16th. I believe there's just 10 more trading days left in the year. The year might be ending with a whimper. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I wanted to follow up, actually two items, a follow-up to a question, and Bob Pisani, of all people, had an interesting little factoid on the TV on Thursday. So first, follow-up to a question. I made a comment about not being a fan of EFA. A reader left a comment saying, well, what about VEU, which according to the reader, I didn't check this out, has 20% in emerging markets. My reply was something to the effect of just not a big fan of these broad-based products for country exposure, and I wanted to maybe lay out a little bit, with some numbers, why that is. Some of the countries, and again, my focus is trying to narrow it down to country to make the choices. According to Yahoo Finance, this might not cover Friday. I don't think this covers Friday. Eyeballing the chart, the SPY up about 4% year to date, and so it's a little bit less than that with Friday's close. EFA, this says up about 11%, so about 4, about 11, and VEU maybe up 17% or so. So 17 for VEU, 11 for EFA, 4 or so for SPY. These look like Thursday's numbers. Okay, so I talk a lot about, going narrower than that, and as we're just about done with the year, I think some of these numbers, will make more sense as opposed to, something just having a good month or two or whatever. So one country that I read about all the time, Australia, and so I'm reading a chart here. Australia, the one bank that I have, is up, according to this, not quite 30%. Okay, well, so that's certainly a whole lot better than SPY, EFA, or VEU. My Norwegian stock is up about 20, I'm going to call it 24%, maybe 25%, eyeballing the chart, something like that. So again, that's pretty good. My Canadian bank it's less than 20. I don't know if it's 19 or 18, but it's less than, just under 20%. My Brazilian stock up 140%. Okay, so those all sound like good numbers, but that's not the byproduct of great stock picking. I'm going to label it as a byproduct of good, really not great, good country picking. My Australian bank, okay, so up 24 or 5%, whatever. The Australian ASX 200 is up about 20%. So the bank ADR about 5% ahead, 4% ahead. When you factor in the currency, it's about a market performer. Well, that's, again, I just picked a good country. Norway, again, so the Norway stock up, again, at 24, 25%, something like that. The Norwegian stock market, this is the OBX, is up about 17 or 18% year to date. The currency has been a huge winner. I mentioned before owning some bonds and really benefiting from that as well. So again, it's about in line with the market when you factor in the currency. So not a great stock pick, a good country pick. Canadian bank, up just a hair under 20%. The TSX, I'm not sure what this is from Yahoo. It's probably the TSX 60, but whatever. Some benchmark from Yahoo Finance, up about 15%. You factor in the currency. That one, the currency's done so well, that might even be an underperformer to the market. But again, way ahead of the U.S. market, way ahead of EFA, way ahead of VEU. The last one maybe was a little better of a stock pick. My Brazilian stock up 140%. The Brazilian market, the Bovespa, appears to be up about 40%, give or take a hair. And that spread between 40 and 140 is not explained away by the currency. So that one may have been a good stock pick, but the other ones, really, I was trying to capture a proxy, and I've talked about this in past blog posts, excuse me, and that's exactly how it played out. It was nothing but a proxy for these markets, and all of these stocks, the Brazilian one not so much, but the other three paid a pretty fat dividend too along the way, so that always helps. And so here, picking the country, clearly has added value over the course of the year. Those are year-to-date numbers. Take it easy, Kramer. Those are year-to-date numbers, picking the right country. And that's kind of a big part of top-down management. And to be clear, Ireland is another one I like. I'm not sure how much my Irish bank stock is down, but it is down. It's not down any more than any domestic bank. It's in line. So no value added, but really nothing detracted either, if I'm saying that in a way that makes sense. So kind of important, focusing on the country does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You put a lot of the wind at your back, so to speak, if you can get the country right. And then really the goal, for me anyway, is, okay, if I like a certain country, just finding a stock, and I've talked about this before, that is just a proxy for that country that I like. That is a pretty simple way of navigating through foreign investing. At least I think it's simple. The other thing to talk about, Bob Pisani in his CNBC 101, the way he talks really cracks me up. But anyway, he threw out a stat from the GAO that for people 55 to 64, I think it was, maybe you saw it and you can correct me if that upper age was wrong, the average 401k balance for those folks is $50,000. Holy shnikes. That is bad news. Clearly, if you care enough about investing to visit any blog or that extra effort of going to blogs, chances are you are ahead of that very dismal statistic. But it makes a point, and chances are whatever it is you've got, you probably could have saved more over time. That's certainly true for me. I like to think I'm where I need to be, but you can always have saved more. This raises the point, it's going to create problems in terms of older people needing to work longer. There's going to have to be an adaptability that takes place. If you're young enough that you can save more and have saving more make a real impact, do it. By saving more than your plan calls for, you create the potential for having some options in the future. And that is always an important thing, is being able to choose a certain path. Really, we could talk about this for any aspect of life. Your health, vacation, your interests, being able to choose these things instead of having it dictated for you. And someone who's 55, who's got $50 or even $100,000, is going to have a lot of things dictated for him. He's not going to have a whole lot of freedom of choice. All right, that's about it. Have a good weekend.